There are very few subjects that are any more important than housing. Housing, for most of us, means shelter. And shelter is a basic need right up there with water, food, and air. We have to have shelter. But housing, for most of us, means more than just shelter. Home is a place we live. Home is a place we identify with. It's where perhaps we live with our spouse and our children, or the place where we grew up as children. It means something emotionally to us. It's a very important place for most of us. It's also very important financially. Homes cost money. Sometimes homes are investments. Sometimes we buy them in hopes that they will appreciate in value, or at least store some value that we will have someday to be able to use. So housing is important on many, many levels. And that means the decisions about housing are all very, very important and should not be taken lightly. For example, the first decision you might think about is whether to buy or rent a home. Very important decision. But that's only the first decision. There are other ones. For example, do you want a big house? Do you want a smaller house? Do you want a house in the north, the east, the west, or the south? Location is very important. And not just the geographical location, but do you want to live in a city? Do you want to live in a small town? Do you want to live out in the country? There are many, many decisions that you will have to make about housing. Every decision that you make will have an impact. For example, if you decide to buy a home, you're going to have to maintain that home. Older homes usually cost more to maintain than newer homes. That's one important decision. If you buy a home, there's an excellent chance someday you're going to have to sell that house. Will you be able to sell that house? Will you be able to get everything you need out of that house to pay off the mortgage? If not, you may have to deal with another impact, which is very common nowadays, called foreclosure, which is when you lose your house because you cannot make the mortgage payment. So every decision is going to be important. Every decision is going to have an impact. And that means you can't make housing decisions lightly. Do your homework. For example, go to workshops or classes. Almost every community you'll find banks, realtors, and others offering classes for potential home buyers and for others. Find those, listen. Go to websites. For example, Housing and Urban Development of the United States government has a website, www.hud.gov, that has a lot of information. One of the things you can find there is a link to a housing counselor. Housing counselors are excellent resources when you're about to make a housing decision. And once you collect all of the information that you can, that's going to help you, write down a plan. It's always better to write it down. It will always help you see what you're going to do and see if it all makes sense. Write down that plan. And where should you start when you're going to collect information and do a plan? I always recommend starting right where you are, at the Take Charge America website, www.takechargeamerica.org. And if you look on the website, you'll see a section of the Budget Doctor. Go there and you will find a webinar on housing. That webinar will give you a lot of good advice, and it will also give you a lot of resources that you can use when you're preparing your plan to make your housing decisions. Remember, there's very few things you'll do in life any more important than making a good housing plan. Do it well. Good luck.